is tonight, April 8th. The news begins now.
Now, the news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Well, good Monday morning to you, and not just any Monday. Thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And we have a lot to get to this morning, but everybody's talking about it, and the day is finally here, the eclipse. So, folks want to know, are we going to be able to see it?
Yeah, and we have been waiting for the weather, at least with this day, for the past several weeks. You're monitoring trends. Is it going to be dry? Is it going to be sunny? And for the past few weeks, it's been a marvel of at least forecasting, I would say, the trend of how good it's gotten, with the fact that 2 weeks ago, we were thinking it's going to be dry, but are the clouds going to stick around? And that's a question. But what we're expecting for today, well, again, it's going to be dry, but we're cutting it close with the clouds. And these aren't going to be clouds that block out the sun, kind of like what we saw last week with the rain and snow, where you can't see any glimpse of it. These clouds will be thin and wispy way up in the sky, and the thicker clouds will be out in western New York. And we're right on that edge. And so in a few minutes, I'll be showing you guys what the skies could look like as you look out for the eclipse. In downtown Utica right now, it's quiet, it's dry, and it's clear. We've got clear skies all across the board. And a live look at the Earthful Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Things are dry, and zooming out, we can see where those clouds are. Again, the leading edge near Buffalo right now, these are thin, wispy clouds, which shouldn't block out the sun too much. But we're keeping an eye on that cloud layer right there. Temperatures in the 20s right now, and throughout the day, we warm up into the 50s and eventually 60s. A pretty pleasant day if you do not intend on watching the eclipse. But following that, we got nice weather tomorrow, highs near 70 before we enter a bit of a rainy stretch for the second half of the week. We'll talk about that in detail straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. As we've been mentioning, it is eclipse day across. Everyone in the continental United States will have the potential to see the moon at least partially blocking the sun, with more than 31 million getting a chance at the darkness of totality, including parts of our area, as Eric mentioned, especially in the North Country. We'll begin our coverage with Jay Gray, who's in Junction, Texas, this morning on this historic day.
The eclipse begins its U.S. journey in Texas, and in the heart of the hill country, history getting a proper Lone Star welcome. Riding and roping, picking and grinning. A washers tournament and sipping eclipse wine from a Texas vineyard. The TexClip Festival, turning the eclipse into a 3-day celebration.
For those that are coming for the eclipse, we wanted to give them something to do while they're here.
Games, goods, even local royalty gathering outside the county courthouse. Eclipse chasers coming from across the country and around the world, hoping for that rare glimpse of the moon aligning with the sun, completely blocking its powerful rays.
It's incredible. It's something you remember your whole life.
The path of totality moves from the Pacific to the Atlantic across 15 states, home to more than 31 million. But forecasters warn a big part of that path could be covered in clouds. The Imaginarium Museum in San Francisco, teaming with NASA, will stream the event live across the globe. And after 2 years of research and planning, their telescopes and cameras are surrounded by bluebonnets and hay bales, betting on clear skies in Junction.
We studied the weather maps, we talked to weather folks, and it turns out this is the best place in the United States in terms of weather.
Everyone along the path of the eclipse hoping they'll be left in the dark in just a few hours. Jay Gray, NBC News, Junction, Texas.
And the epicenter of the eclipse in our area is expected. We stopped up last night, and there's a little more traffic than you'd expect to see on a Sunday in April. The town of Webb Tourism Center in Old Forge has had events going on all weekend long leading up to today's main event. Businesses have been preparing for an influx of crowds for weeks now. We have team coverage of the eclipse starting with News Channel 2 at noon. Chief Meteorology Management is reminding people to be prepared ahead of the eclipse. Keep your eyes protected. Don't look at the sun without certified eclipse glasses. Come early and stay late, so allow for plenty of extra travel time. Be prepared for being in heavy traffic and by bringing food, snacks, water, extra clothing, fuel, medications. Keep up with travel conditions on 511ny.org. Only park in designated areas. Do not stop to view the eclipse while on roadways, especially interstates, parkways, and freeways. Only call 911 if you have an emergency. Being stuck in traffic is not an emergency. Avoid the backcountry due to muddy conditions and icy trails if you are heading to the Adirondacks and high peaks. Those places will be dangerous to view the eclipse. While Utica City schools will be releasing students early because of the eclipse, secondary students will be dismissed at 11 a.m. Elementary students will be dismissed at noon. Many other school districts already either closing or setting out early dismissal plans in advance. Well, on WKTV.com, we have a full section dedicated to the total solar eclipse. We have the path of totality, locations of area watch parties, as well as safety information for you now. Well, there are other news going on, too. The Federal Aviation...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good morning, welcome back. Time now for our Munson Commute Cast as we take a look at road conditions and travel times as you head to work today. First off, a look at the overall traffic flow across central New York, and this is something we'll be monitoring very closely today, not for weather, but because we're going to be seeing influx of tourists from all over both the national scene and international scene. So we'll follow this both this morning as well as News Channel 2 at noon to give you guys an update on whether the impacts will be expected on some of your drive times as you head either to work, to the eclipse, home from work, or just simply traveling to the store and back. But first off, heading to work today, those road conditions looking pretty okay, dry weather, and drive times looking average, right around 18-21 minutes along I-90, 5 to 6 minutes along the Utica Arterial. Secondly, for 5S east and west, drive time around 17 or so minutes and 10 minutes as you head up Route 49. Then, Route 28 from Cooperstown to I-90, things are looking pretty okay. And lastly, Route 12, so far so good, heading north of Utica. And again, we're talking about dry weather for today, for the entire time, increasing clouds, and we'll of course continue to track the influx of cars on our roadways and see how that impacts our traffic straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thank you. The South Carolina Gamecocks defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back, everyone. The time now is 5:19, and so far it's looking pretty quiet out there with clear skies, temperatures falling below freezing, but we are expecting some clouds to increase throughout the day today. A live look at downtown Utica. Of course, you can see dry weather, clear skies, quiet conditions, and the radar, of course, showing completely dry weather, and we were expected to remain entirely dry throughout the daytime today, with maybe a light sprinkle arriving later on tonight from an approaching warm front. Regardless, though, what to expect today, highs approaching near 60, but in some locations where the eclipse passes over, we could see the temperatures fall a few degrees during the mid-afternoon, which is typically the warmest time of the day. Wind speeds looking pretty calm for today, not looking as breezy as we saw last week and over the weekend. But a bigger picture, what we're tracking right here is you can see a warm front approaching from the southwest, and we are going to be right on that line of whether we see clouds or not. And our thoughts are we're going to see thin cirrus clouds, at least for pretty much all of central New York. The uncertainty will be with when the thicker clouds begin to move in. Now, regardless, western New York is likely going to be a pretty cloudy area, but we are right on that line here in the Mohawk Valley, especially as you get up north closer to Boonville, Old Forge. That looks to be your best spot. But if you want to do some extensive traveling, head up to northern New York near Plattsburgh, or head up to Vermont. That's your best chance of seeing entirely clear skies. But what will the skies look like here locally? Well, our best case scenario will be what it looks like right here. Cirrus clouds, thin, wispy, upper level ice clouds in the atmosphere, and the most, at least the most likely scenario is going to be altostratus clouds here in our local area. Basically a very thin upper layer of clouds, which you can see here is fading the sun, but it won't be blocking out the sun entirely. It's going to be very difficult for the sun to be completely blocked by clouds, at least for this afternoon. But some solar eclipse safety info. Again, you must use the eclipse glasses at any point viewing the sun. The only time you take them off is when the sun is in totality and you see this ring right around it and you see the corona outside of the sun. If you do not have solar eclipse glasses and you have a welding helmet, make sure it's up to shade 14. The max, at least what you need for the shade in order to safely view the eclipse for a long duration. But again, on our Skycast, we're talking about temperatures near or below freezing this morning, sunshine giving way to increasing clouds and temperatures rising into the upper 50s to low 60s. Next 12 hours, warming up with increasing clouds, highs approaching near 60 for tonight. We're falling back down into the 40s with mostly cloudy skies. Your 7-day forecast approaching near 70 for tomorrow. It's looking pretty nice though. Following that, we were entering a bit of an unsettled stretch with 60s and 50s and rain showers lasting through Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So again, it could be worse regarding viewing.
Yeah.
We could have what we saw last week with those clouds and rain, and luckily Mother Nature is giving us a little bit of a break. Rather have it be yesterday, but
sure.
Yeah, we'll take what at least Central New York weather gives us.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Eric. Well, the time now is 5:23. Still ahead on Sunrise.
The news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And good morning, and thank you for joining us this half hour. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
So that's the day we've been talking about for a long time. The eclipse is today. It is Eclipse Day, and it looks like, fingers crossed, we should be able to see it pretty well.
Yes. At worst, we're thinking faded sunshine as you head closer to western New York. Western New York's looking a bit more cloudy,
Right.
but we've been tracking a dry trend. The good news is it's going to be dry. We're not going to see rain. We're not going to see snow.
Excellent.
But it's just that those faded clouds that might obscure the visibility a little bit too. But as you head up farther north and east, visibility will greatly increase. But again, the day is here, and of course, what a better way to have this event go on top of the fact that we have the international hockey game between U.S. and Canada as well. Yeah, pretty busy day here in central New York, at least by Utica standards. And again, total solar eclipse is today, regardless of whether you are going out to see it or you're sick of the headlines. Well, the traffic might be a bit busy for today, and we're going to continue to follow the latest information on our Munson traffic tracker throughout the sunrise show, as well as on News Channel 2 at noon, and of course tonight at 5 and 6 as well, to give you guys any updates on how traffic is flowing here across the local area. Downtown Utica is dry and clear. Same thing on the radar. Things looking pretty quiet. We're still tracking those upper level clouds approaching from the southwest. But you can see here in Syracuse, Rochester, it's mainly producing some thin clouds way up in the sky. And over the next 12 hours, we do climb into the upper 50s to low 60s. Clouds increase throughout the day. We're going to track what this will look like in the skies regarding the eclipse viewing, as well as provide updates on any additional information you need before heading out the door today, or if you're heading out to view the eclipse. And that full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. New this morning, 6 months into the war, the Israeli...
Welcome back. The time now is 5:43, and showcasing our weather photo of the day on this Monday. What a better way to showcase a certain photo than a picture of the sun, as a frequent submitter, Mark Minter, has sent this to us here on WKTV.com/weather/pics, which he said that he was practicing for the eclipse, taking some nice shots of the sun right there. And a reminder that if you are taking photos or just viewing the sun, if you have either solar eclipse glasses or if you don't, shade 14 welder's glass minimum is what you need to be safely viewing the sun. Or for cameras, you might get away with shade 12 or 13. But again, between 12 and 14 for cameras, if you're viewing the sun with your eyes, shade 14. When does the eclipse start? Well, it starts to begin around 2:10 this afternoon. It slowly goes over the sun, and then by 3:25 in the afternoon, that's when we'll be seeing the maximum totality. And then following that, the sun will continue its path, or at least the moon will continue its path over the sun, and then by 4:25, the eclipse is done here in central New York. But again, temperatures this morning in the 20s across the Mohawk Valley. It's a cool start. We warm up, though, into the upper 50s to low 60s as a warm front moves in from the south, and hopefully some of these thicker clouds do hang to the southwest as well. We're going to talk about cloud cover, what the skies might look like for the eclipse in that full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. The Marshall Mavericks cheer teams held a spring show.
York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back. The eclipse day is here, long awaited for a lot of us, and for those of you who are waiting for the headlines and all the excitement to end, well, don't worry about it. If you do not want to see the eclipse following today, our next eclipse in New York State will be in 2079, so you have plenty of years to wait for that to end. But a live look at road conditions right now, traffic flow on our Munson traffic tracker. This is something we'll be monitoring throughout the day today. How congested Route 12 and Route 28 are going to be. Primarily Route 28 up in Old Forge. That's the primary road to access areas up in the North Country. In fact, a live look in Old Forge right now. What will be a very busy day here in the North Country region. And currently in Old Forge, 25 degrees. That's expected to climb into the upper 50s by this afternoon. So aside from increasing high-level clouds, it's looking to be a pretty nice day here in central New York to view the eclipse. And a live look, the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2, a live radar. All is quiet and dry here this morning. And again, temperatures approaching the upper 50s to low 60s, cooling down a little bit as the eclipse passes over the line of totality, decreasing the temperature, I think maybe a few degrees at most. But winds are calm and rain chances non-existent during the daytime today. Bigger picture, what have we been talking about? Well, over the past few weeks, we're monitoring a trend of dry weather, which has held. The problem is that a warm front is arriving a little sooner than we want it to, that we started noticing this trend at least a few days back. And for the most part, the clouds will be thin. It will be wispy. It won't block out the sun too much. Western New York, not so much regarding good viewing conditions. But as you head up farther north and farther to the east, you've got a much better shot of viewing the totality. In fact, Maine has completely clear skies over the area. And you can see here, following that, clear skies move in once more. What will the skies look like? Well, here's a good idea, a good visual. Cirrus clouds, this is our best, or what we're hoping for viewing with just some thin cirrus. The most likely scenario is altostratus. You can see here the sun is still visible. It just faded behind some clouds, and that looks to be at least the worst of it here in areas around Old Forge and north of Boonville. But as you head farther to the south and west, things get a bit more on the cloudy side. But again, a reminder, if you are heading out to view the eclipse, you must wear the solar eclipse glasses at any point viewing the sun. You can only take them off when the sun is in complete totality. And again, if you're using a welding helmet, shade 14 is the only shade that is safe for a longer period of time. Maybe 13, 12 briefly, but again, this is something that you don't want to damage your eyes with viewing the eclipse. Next 12 hours, upper 50s, low 60s for the highs with increasing clouds. Tonight, we're down into the 40s with mostly cloudy skies giving way to clearing by early tomorrow morning. 7-day forecast, nice weather tomorrow, highs near 70. We cool down into the 60s and 50s by Wednesday through Friday with some on and off rain showers.
Now, the news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
Well, we've got a lot to get to this morning. We've been talking about it for weeks, if not longer. April 8th is the day of the eclipse, and part of our area is in the path of totality. So what's it going to look like?
And we were cutting it close. In fact, it's early April, and in early April in New York State, usually
you have anything.
Clouds, you think rain, you think maybe some snow mixing in, and the fact that we have dry weather today is pretty much, we went against all the odds.
Yeah.
Now, we're only dealing with some high-level clouds today, which could make the sun a little faded, but again, it could be a lot worse. So look at what we're expecting for today. Again, today is the day of the total solar eclipse. The time of it takes place between roughly 2 and 4 p.m. this afternoon. I'll talk about the timing, specific timing, coming up in just a few minutes. But again, we're talking about clear skies this morning with clouds increasing throughout the morning and afternoon. The radar, of course, looking dry. We're not expecting any precipitation for today, but looking out to western New York, that's where we're seeing those high-level cirrus clouds. These aren't those low-level clouds that we usually see in mostly cloudy days. Think of like milky skies with the faded sunshine. Those days we see those sun halos. That's the type of clouds we'll be seeing, at least for the late morning, early afternoon. Those temperatures in the 20s this morning, warming up into the 30s, 40s, eventually 60s by the mid to late afternoon with increasing clouds. We're going to keep a close eye on how thick some of these clouds go and how fast this frontal boundary pushes into our local area. But regardless, we're talking about this. We're talking about the potential for increased traffic, how that might affect your morning, afternoon, or evening drive. And on top of that, talk about what to expect for tomorrow and the rest of the work week straight ahead. Steve?
Eric, thanks. Don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast, never more than 10 minutes away. It is Eclipse Day across the country. Everyone in the continental U.S. will have the potential to see the moon at least partially blocking the sun, with more than 31 million getting a chance at the darkness of totality, including here in central New York, most of the areas in the North Country. We'll begin our coverage, though, with Jay Gray, who's in Junction, Texas, with more on this historic day.
The eclipse begins its U.S. journey in Texas and in the heart of the hill country. History getting a proper Lone Star welcome. Riding and roping, picking and grinning. A washers tournament and sipping Eclipse wine from a Texas vineyard. The TexClip Festival, turning the eclipse into a 3-day celebration.
For those that are coming for the eclipse, we wanted to give them something to do while they're here.
Games, goods, even local royalty gathering outside the county courthouse. Eclipse chasers coming from across the country and around the world, hoping for that rare glimpse of the moon aligning with the sun, completely blocking its powerful rays.
It's incredible. It's something you remember your whole life.
The path of totality moves from the Pacific to the Atlantic across 15 states, home to more than 31 million. But forecasters warn a big part of that path could be covered in clouds. The Imaginarium Museum in San Francisco, teaming with NASA, will stream the event live across the globe. And after 2 years of research and planning, their telescopes and cameras are surrounded by bluebonnets and hay bales, betting on clear skies in Junction.
We studied the weather maps, we talked to weather folks, and it turns out this is the best place in the United States in terms of weather.
Everyone along the path of the eclipse hoping they'll be left in the dark in just a few hours. Jay Gray, NBC News, Junction, Texas.
And as we've mentioned, the epicenter of the eclipse in our area is expected to be, we stopped up there last night, a little more traffic than you'd expect on a Sunday in April. The Old Forge and Town of Webb tourism folks have been planning events that have been going on all weekend, and the area restaurants and other businesses have been planning for a long time to make this a very special few days. And we will have team coverage coming up of the eclipse, starting with News Channel 2 at noon. Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis and Eric Gage will be live from the Oneida County Fairgrounds in Boonville, as the folks at Adirondack Central School have a big deal planned up there. And then News Channel 2's Ben Kinney and Kirk Tupai will be live in Old Forge with all the events happening up there. And don't forget, NBC and CBS will have specials for you beginning at 2 o'clock this afternoon. The State Office of Emergency Management is reminding people to be prepared ahead of the eclipse. Keep your eyes protected. Do not look at the sun without certified eclipse glasses. They're also telling you to come early and stay late, so allow for plenty of extra travel time. Be prepared for being in heavy traffic by bringing food, water, extra clothing, fuel, and medications. Keep up with travel conditions on 511ny.org. We'll also be tracking the traffic for you. Only park in designated areas and do not stop to view the eclipse while on roadways. That's a big one. Only call 911 if you have an emergency. Being stuck in traffic does not constitute an emergency. They're also telling you to avoid the backcountry if you planned on heading up to north of the North Country and the high peaks. Those areas may be too muddy and dangerous to view the eclipse. Well, Utica City Schools will be releasing students early because of the eclipse. Secondary students will be dismissed at 11. Elementary school students will be dismissed at noon. On WKTV.com, we have a full section dedicated to the total solar eclipse. We have the path of totality, locations of aerial watch parties, and safety information as well. Well, the Federal Aviation Administration is launching an
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back. The time now is 6:12, and of course, with our time now for Munson CommuteCast, and with today, we're going to be seeing some different conditions regarding our traffic tracker. Not so much inclement weather, not so much impacts on roads, accidents from, again, winter-like weather. For today, we're dealing with an influx of people from outside this area and how that might affect our local traffic. But you can see right here, roads looking pretty okay in our traffic flow tracker on our Munson CommuteCast. And zooming up to the North Country, this will be the zone we'll be monitoring very closely. Route 12, Route 28, heading up to Boonville, heading up north into Lewis County, and of course out west, or out east, I should say, to parts of Old Forge. And regarding this morning, no impacts expected for your travel. Sunshine across the board. Temperatures are below freezing, so there could be some light frost on your windshield. But you can see here those drive times heading, for example, 5S and Route 49 looking pretty okay. And then finally, Otsego County in Route 28 from Cooperstown to I-90 looking fine. And lastly, Route 12 north of Utica to Remsen, right around a 16-minute drive time. So again, today, starting out with sunshine, temperatures in the 30s to warm up into the 40s, 50s, and eventually 60s by this afternoon with increasing clouds. And we're going to track how thick some of these clouds get. And of course, not only will we be having our traffic tracker here for News Channel 2 at sunrise, but also News Channel 2 at noon to give you guys any updates on how the roads are looking. Steve?
All right, thanks a lot, Eric. And you and Bill are going to be heading up to Boonville with noted photojournalist Earl Davis. So you guys will be taking, and you folks know the back roads, just in case 12 and 28 are busy.
Yes,
that's the key.
roads.
That is the key. We need to get you up there by noon. All right, thanks a lot. Well, the South Carolina Gamecocks defeated the Iowa Hawkeyes.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy total solar eclipse day. Last one we'll be seeing in New York State until 2079. So let's enjoy it while we still have it. And we hope the clouds favor us, at least here in the North Country where the path of totality will be. Live look at Old Forge, an area that will be very busy today with tourism coming in from all over the United States and potentially even international folks coming to view the eclipse as well. And a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 live radar. Everything is quiet and dry this morning. Temperatures starting out in the 20s, but we do warm up into the 30s, 40s, eventually the low 60s by this afternoon in the Mohawk Valley. A little cooler up in the higher elevations in the areas that will be seeing some of that totality, especially up in Old Forge for today. Winds will be not too bad. Wind speeds between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Gusts, wind speeds will be sustained possibly at calm to right around 5 or so miles per hour. So not too windy for today. It's been a very windy past few days here in central New York. We are thankful to get a little bit of a break with those. Bigger picture, here we are. We've got this warm front arriving from the southwest, and this is pretty much what's going to be causing our cloud cover for today. But the good news is that typical with an approaching warm front, we usually see high-level clouds move in initially, followed by thin mid-level clouds, and then those dense low-level clouds that block out the sun entirely that follow right where that frontal boundary is. Now, with the initial round of clouds, they're going to be thin, and in fact, what it might look like here locally would be the best-case scenario, north and east of Utica, cirrus clouds, thin, wispy, not blocking out the sun too much, just some light fade. Our best, or at least our most likely scenario for here in central New York will be altostratus clouds, so a thinner blanket of upper to mid-level clouds. The sun is still visible. It's not blocked out, but it will be a little bit on the faded side. But this is the best we're going to be getting for today. And of course, thankfully, the weather has cooperated for the most part with dry weather. The only unfortunate thing is of course, with the sunshine, if it could happen yesterday, that would have been absolutely optimal. But regardless, some safety information as you head out to view the eclipse today. You must wear the solar eclipse glasses at any point viewing the sun. The only exception is if you're in the path of totality and the sun looks like this, a ring around it, there is no more glare. You can take it off briefly. Then you put them back on as the moon continues the path over the sun. But if you do not have solar eclipse glasses, use shade 14 only for a welding helmet. Briefly 13 and 12 shade, but if you want to safely view it for a longer period of time, use shade 14. But over the next 12 hours, temperatures climbing into the upper 50s to low 60s with increasing clouds tonight. Those clouds give way to clear skies by tomorrow morning with lows falling into the low 40s. 7-day forecast. Near 70 for tomorrow on a beautiful day, followed by 60s and 50s with on and off rain showers Wednesday through Friday, so it's looking a lot more like a typical April later on in the weekend. Even though we're cutting it close with clouds today, the fact that we have dodged low-level clouds, just a whole bunch of a messy weather system yesterday, or at least last weekend, coming up this week, we'll take at least the partial clearing today.
All right, yeah, sounds good, Eric. And if you can't get outside to watch it, NBC and CBS are both having special reports starting at 2. CBS goes to about 3:30. NBC goes right until 4 o'clock, so you can watch it there. We're going to have information for you at noon, 5 and 6. It'll be streamed on our website, so we've got you covered if you can't see it. But again, do not look directly in the sun unless you have those glasses, and you want to take caution because you can cause some permanent eye damage, and you don't want to do that.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it, not worth it. All right, thanks a lot, Eric. Well, be sure to like us on Facebook and
News with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And good Monday morning to you. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
Well, here it is. We're just a few hours away from that total eclipse that we've talked about for months, it seems like, and we've been wondering, what's the weather going to be like? Is it going to be clear? Will we be able to see it? And the man with the answer is to my left.
Yes, and so far it's been a bit wishy-washy with the fact that we're having mid-upper-level clouds move in from the west. The good news is it's dry.
Yeah.
We're not seeing rain. We're not seeing snow. We could be seeing, lake effect snow right over the path of totality.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like that should be the case.
Don't jinx it. We still have 7 hours or 8 hours, whatever this is.
Listen, I'll lock it in right now. We're not going to see lake effect
Right,
snow.
great.
But the only thing is we're going to be keeping an eye on the arrival of some clouds out in western New York. But again, today is the total solar eclipse. If you're planning on viewing it, or if it's a normal day for you, you're a typical heading to work for your 9 to 5, whatever, regardless, it's going to be a pretty busy day here in central New York. Increased traffic, increased tourism. We're going to provide updates on our traffic tracker, our Munson traffic tracker, with the latest traffic information following this morning, as well as News Channel 2 at noon, and of course tonight on Live at 5 News Hour and News Channel 2 at 6. Downtown Utica right now, completely blue skies out to the east, and to the west is where some clouds are slowly moving in, but these clouds are thin in nature. In fact, zooming out a little bit, you can see where those clouds are. They're disorganized a little bit, but you can see a bit of a clearing in Buffalo with denser clouds west of Buffalo, which should not really reach our area until well after the eclipse. And around the state, those temperatures in the 20s with sunshine this morning, and throughout the day, clouds increase. Those temperatures do climb pretty warm into the upper 50s, low 60s. So if you're going out to view the eclipse today, don't need to bundle up too much. But we're going to be following the clouds, what the eclipse might look like with that cloud cover, any safety information, last-minute things regarding solar eclipse glasses, and of course, any additional details in that forecast for tonight, tomorrow, and the week ahead, straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. We will look for that. Don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. Well, new this morning, 6 months into the war.
Welcome back this Monday. It's time now for the daily weather photo of the day, and what a great way to start out this Monday with a shot of the sun taken by a familiar submitter, Mark Minter, in Mohawk, and he's practicing taking shots of the sun just in time for the eclipse. And I do recommend, though, if you are in Mohawk or areas south, to head up north into the totality region, because it's not too often you see a total solar eclipse, and the difference between 99% and 100% is a huge difference visually, where you see the entire corona outside of the sun. And when does it begin? Well, around 2:10 this afternoon. That's when the moon slowly pushes over the sun, and then by 3:25 is the time of totality. Depending on location, it lasts, especially down near Rome, anywhere between around 2 or 30 or so seconds, but head up north, it goes from a few seconds to 3 or so minutes. And then following that, the eclipse ends at 4:25. We're talking about the cloud cover with this system, and on top of that, the viewing conditions, any safety concerns when viewing the solar eclipse, and that full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. The Marshall Mavericks cheer teams held a spring showcase.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy day of the total solar eclipse. And so far, it's trending sunny this morning. However, we're going to be talking about clouds moving in this afternoon that could impact at least a little bit of the viewing of the total solar eclipse. A lot looking on forwards right now. This is an area that will be very busy come this afternoon, as visitors from all over the state and all over the country will flock to our local area to view the total solar eclipse. Currently 25 degrees. A chilly start this morning, but we do climb into the upper 50s in most locations, approaching near 60 in the valleys. And a live look at the Artful Battery Storm Tracker 2, a live radar, looking quiet and dry all across the central New York region, and those temperatures do climb again into the upper 50s, low 60s. Winds not too bad today, roughly around 0 to 5 miles per hour. Gusts maybe as high as 10 miles per hour. Regarding cloud cover, we'll see the clouds slowly start to increase today, but these clouds, the numbers don't really do it justice. These are not what we typically see in April in central New York with those dense low-level clouds. These clouds will be on the thinner side, and it's all due to an arriving warm front from the southwest that will bring with it initially some faded sunshine with some wispy high-level cirrus clouds, followed by some slightly more dense altostratus clouds in the mid-levels as we head throughout the early afternoon. You can see the arrival of that by around 3 to 4 p.m. today. And just do a quick recap of what the skies might look like for the eclipse. Our best case scenario will be thin cirrus clouds. You can see here wispy sunshine, not too bad at viewing, in fact, looking pretty okay. The most likely scenario here in central New York will be altostratus clouds. So the sun is still visible. The sun will not be blocked out for the most part, but it will be faded, and it might impact viewing a little bit. But again, we'll take this over what we typically see in central New York around April, which is usually very cloudy conditions. But a reminder, if you're viewing the total solar eclipse, you must use the eclipse glasses at any point viewing the sun. The only time you can take them off is when the sun is completely blocked, as of right here, when you see the ring around it and you see the corona outside the sun. No more glare, that's good. When the sun, well, at least when the moon starts moving over the sun again, you have to put the glasses back on. And if you do not have solar eclipse glasses, but you have a welding helmet, shade 14 is safe for prolonged viewing. Any shade less than that, 13, 12, you can view for temporarily, but again, shade 14 is the safe number. So you can see here, clouds increasing throughout the day. Those temperatures do climb from the 50s to as high as the low 60s. Next 12 hours, looking pretty okay by, I would say, April standards. By tonight, temperatures falling down into the 40s with mostly cloudy skies giving way to clearing by tomorrow. Your 7-day forecast, 70 for the high on Tuesday, pretty nice. Cooling down Wednesday through Friday with highs in 60s and 50s with on and off rain showers.
Now, the news with Steve McMurray and meteorologist Eric Gage.
And good Monday morning to you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Steve McMurray.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2, meteorologist Eric Gage.
A lot to get to this morning. It is Eclipse Day, and we want to get right to that forecast so you can see if you'll see it.
Yes, and so far we're talking about clouds increasing throughout the day. These clouds are not typical April clouds. They are thinner, they won't block out the sun too much, but it could cause some faded sunshine in some locations. But again, today is the day of the total solar eclipse. The last one we'll be seeing in in fact, not just central New York, in New York State. The next one will be past central New York in the next century. New York State will be in 2079. Of course, we haven't gone that far out to see when the next one in central New York would be, but it'd be long after my lifetime, at least that's what I know. Downtown Utica, temperatures in the 20s right now with some sunshine. We're seeing some high-level cirrus clouds move in from the southwest, and that will be what we're tracking for today. Radar is quiet and dry. Satellite, live view of that. We're seeing those wispy clouds arriving from the west and giving an idea of where the faded sun will be, pretty much right over central New York. The thin clouds and sunshine will be primarily towards Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Maine looking to be entirely clear viewing for today. Temperatures in the 20s, Griffith and Rome, 27 in Hamilton, and temperatures warming up into the upper 50s, low 60s. A pretty pleasant day today, but we're going to continue to track those clouds, how things shape up regarding the viewing of the eclipse in that full forecast straight ahead. Steve?
All right, Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away. It is Eclipse Day across the country. Everyone in the continental United States will have the potential to see the moon at least partially blocking the sun, and more than 31 million Americans getting a chance at the darkness of totality, including parts of the Mohawk Valley, Old Forge and Boonville, just two of them. Jay Gray is in Junction, Texas, meanwhile, to begin our coverage on this historic day.
The eclipse begins its U.S. journey in Texas and in the heart of the hill country. History getting a proper Lone Star welcome. Riding and roping, picking and grinning. A washers tournament and sipping eclipse wine from a Texas vineyard. The TexClip Festival turning the eclipse into a 3-day celebration.
For those that are coming for the eclipse, we wanted to give them something to do while they're here.
Games, goods, even local royalty gathering outside the county courthouse. Eclipse chasers coming from across the country and around the world, hoping for that rare glimpse of the moon aligning with the sun, completely blocking its powerful rays.
It's incredible. It's something you remember your whole life.
The path of totality moves from the Pacific to the Atlantic across 15 states, home to more than 31 million. But forecasters warn a big part of that path could be covered in clouds. The Imaginarium Museum in San Francisco, teaming with NASA, will stream the event live across the globe. And after 2 years of research and planning, their telescopes and cameras are surrounded by bluebonnets and hay bales, betting on clear skies in Junction.
We studied the weather maps, we talked to weather folks, and it turns out this is the best place in the United States in terms of weather.
Everyone along the path of the eclipse hoping they'll be left in the dark in just a few hours. Jay Gray, NBC News, Junction, Texas.
The epicenter of the eclipse in our area is expected to be in Old Forge. We stopped up there last night and saw a little more traffic than you might expect to see on a Sunday in April. The Town of Webb Tourism Office and other entities have been planning events going on all weekend and continuing today, leading up to the main event. Area businesses and restaurants especially getting ready for today's big eclipse. Well, we have team coverage of said eclipse starting News Channel 2 at noon. Meteorologists Bill Cardis and Eric Gage will be live from the Oneida County Fairgrounds in Boonville with photojournalist Earl Davis. And News Channel 2's Ben Kinney and photojournalist Kirk Tupai will be live in Old Forge. Well, the State Office of Emergency Management is reminding people to be prepared ahead of the eclipse. Keep your eyes protected. Do not look at the sun without certified eclipse glasses. Come early, stay late, allow for plenty of extra travel time, and be prepared for being in heavy traffic by bringing food, water, extra clothing, fuel, and medications. You can keep up with travel conditions on 511ny.org. We'll also have updates on our website. Only park in designated areas. Do not stop to view the eclipse while on roadways. Do not pull over to the side of the road either to do that. Only call 911 if you have an emergency. Being stuck in traffic is not an emergency. And you're told to avoid the backcountry, meaning if you're wanting to head to the Adirondack High Peaks, the trails might be icy and conditions might be too muddy to view the eclipse. Utica City Schools announcing they will be releasing students early today because of the eclipse. Secondary students will be dismissed at 11 a.m. Elementary students will be dismissed at noon. On WKTV.com, we have a full section dedicated to the solar eclipse. We have the path of totality, locations of watch parties, and safety information for you. Well, the Federal Aviation Administration.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning and welcome back. Happy day of the eclipse. Happy Monday, everyone. We start out with sunshine, temperatures in the 20s, but we warm up into the 50s and 60s by this afternoon. We're continuing to track the latest on traffic flow as more than usual traffic is going to come into our local area as we head into this afternoon, of course, from the eclipse. A live look at our Munson traffic tracker right now. So far, so good. A few accidents report out near Syracuse, but overall, roads are looking green at this point. We'll continue to follow the latest traffic trends on News Channel 2 at noon and on the Live at 5 News Hour and News Channel 2 at 6. Live at Old Forge will be a pretty busy day up here in the North Country. 25 degrees, a dry and sunny start. And the radar, of course, again, looking pretty dry. Throughout the day, temperatures do climb into the upper 50s, low 60s. Winds looking pretty okay, between calm winds and around 5-mile-per-hour sustained winds, so nothing too bad. And again, we're tracking those clouds arriving from the southwest, and these clouds will initially be on the thinner side before a slightly thicker mid-level cloud deck moves in later on this afternoon. You can see here that the timing arrival of this around 5 or so p.m. And here's an idea of what the sky might look like for the eclipse. Our best case scenario are thin cirrus clouds, which won't block out the sun all too much at all. But our most likely scenario will be altostratus clouds. What you see here, a slightly more notable cloud deck, but the sun will still be visible in some of these cloud bands as we head into this afternoon. So again, it's not completely over with viewing the eclipse, but as you head farther to the west, it's looking more and more cloudy. Farther northeast, much less cloudy. But some safety tips if you're heading out to view the eclipse. Again, you must use the solar eclipse glasses at any point viewing the sun, even when it's not during the eclipse. If you're looking at the sun in general, you have to use these glasses. You can take them off when the sun looks like this. When you see the ring around it, there's a lot less glare and the moon is completely encompassing it. You can only take it off if you are in the path of totality. Then, if you do not have any solar eclipse glasses, but you have a welding helmet handy, it has to be shade 14 to be safe for long duration viewing. 13 and 12 for only a few minutes, but again, to be safe, recommend having the shade at 14 just for viewing the eclipse. Our skycast, temperatures starting out in the 20s and 30s, warming up into the upper 50s, low 60s, and you can see here some clouds giving way to some peaks of sunshine this afternoon. But overall, looking pretty okay for viewing the eclipse. Could be better, like yesterday's weather, but we'll take the sunshine when we get it. Upper 50s, low 60s for today. Tonight, overnight lows falling down into the low 40s with mostly cloudy skies giving way to clearing by tomorrow morning. And your 7-day forecast, near 70 for tomorrow. Beautiful weather. We cool down a little bit with rain showers on and off arriving Wednesday through Friday.
Thank you for joining us. Today is the day. The total eclipse of the sun happens just a couple hours from now. Several parts of our viewing area are in the path of totality, but will we be able to see it? We're going to go straight to meteorologist Eric Gage. He's live in Boonville at the Boonville and Oneida County Fairgrounds, we hope, with some answers. Eric.
Yes, good afternoon, Steve. I am live adjacent to the fairgrounds. We're actually at the Adirondack Central School where festivities are getting underway right now. People are starting to show up. The sun, even though it's faded, is shining right now. Let's hope those clouds do hold off for just a few hours. The temperatures feel nice too. It's currently in the upper 50s, so overall it's a beautiful day. You see me, I'm wearing a t-shirt right now, looking at fantastic weather. And before we get to that, I want to bring in the woman who makes this all happen here at the Adirondack Central School. This is Christy McGrath, who is the superintendent. And Christy, can you tell us about what this event is, and is it free to the public and everything?
Sure. We decided here in the Boonville area to plan an eclipse extravaganza. This event is open to anyone in the public. It is free of charge. We had a committee of about 20 people that have been planning this for the last couple of months, and we basically have face painting, food trucks, large games, t-shirts for sale, music happening. The Moose will be here. So we just basically wanted to celebrate this special occasion and invite anyone in the public who would like to come and join us.
Yes, and it looks fantastic here. People are showing up right now, and before I get anything right now, I wanted to mention too, we have some food trucks here, and they brought us over some lemonade, and I think it was called the Solar Eclipse lemonade, and it tastes fantastic. So if you want some lemonade, if you want some festivities or just hanging out before the eclipse begins, again, come up to us here at the Adirondack High School in Boonville, short drive up from Utica, and again, we're going to be here for the entire totality of the eclipse, so join first me, then Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis as we head into the totality time. We'll talk about the timing, the forecast, how the clouds are looking in that full forecast straight ahead. For now, I'll send it back to you in the studio, Steve.
All right, Eric Gage reporting from Boonville. Big festivities going on in that part of the North Country. Our live team coverage continues now as we head north to Old Forge, and that is where we find News Channel 2's Ben Kinney. He's at the Hildebrand Recreation Center off of North Street, where hundreds are expected to view the eclipse. Ben, what's the situation like up there?
Hey, good afternoon, Steve. Yeah, a lot of people already piling in here at the Hildebrand Recreation Center. We have stuff going on inside and outside, including some telescopes being set up. This is Professor Brandon Fleming from Utica University. What are you setting up? These telescopes look quite different from the ones you're used to seeing.
Right, actually, so there's different types of telescopes. We have what's called a refractor telescope. That's the one with a lens. You can look in the eye on the eyepiece at the end. But there's one that's going to be a projection. There's one that's going to, you can actually see, this is one you can just put your cell phone up to this and it takes images very easily. There's even some automatic tracking ones, so each telescope does a different function.
Wow, and these take a lot of work to set up, obviously. This isn't like your simple telescope that you get at Target or Hobby Lobby.
No, actually, a lot of it is, especially the more complex it looks, the easier it is almost to operate because it does a lot of the thinking for you. It looks like it's a lot of equipment, but the setup, I'm just doing 5 setups, that's why it looks like that. But telescopes come a long way, very accessible, very easy to set up for anyone to take their own images.
Now, up here in Old Forge, we're expected to have how long for totality? 3 minutes, right?
We're looking at just under 3 minutes, and that's because if you think about the shadow as a circle, we're just on the edge. We're not toward the very edge, but we're toward the edge of that circle, and so there's going to be less time in the shadow. 3 minutes is still pretty good because the maximum up here is just about 4. So.
Wow, and the hope right now is that the clouds do hold off, as Eric just mentioned. Fingers crossed right now, he's down in Boonville, but the hope is the clouds hold off. You know, these high-level clouds, are they going to affect much in terms of obscuring the sun?
You'll notice the difference with the high-level clouds. It's nothing like we had a couple days ago, and even then, sometimes it's been said that when during an eclipse, when the sun is blocked out, that actually the temperature change can almost lighten up those thin upper clouds a little bit. But either way, with a telescope, with something like this, you're still going to be able to see the image. I mean, it will hardly have an effect if it stays like this.
Alrighty. Well, that's Professor Brandon Fleming from Utica University, a physics professor. As we continue to get set up, a lot of fun events going on. So if you're in the area or headed up to Old Forge, the Hildebrand Recreation Center on North Street is definitely the place to be. For now, we're going to send it back to the newsroom. Steve, back to you.
All right, Ben, not sure if you can still hear me, but what was the traffic like going up Route 28? How was it on your way up?
Surprisingly, Steve, it wasn't that bad. Coming through Otter Lake, we started to see a few more cars. Once we got up to Old Forge, though, it was a little more crowded. I just want to note that I was seeing from a few of my friends back home, the Adirondack Northway in Lake George going up towards the high peaks of the Adirondacks. Past Lake George, exit 22, completely standstill right now, complete bumper-to-bumper traffic, and they have multiple accidents also right now, so a lot of traffic as you head further east, which is what a lot of folks expected with the latest weather forecasts also.
All right, sounds good, Ben. Thank you for that, and we'll check in with you again at the bottom of the hour. Well, we are not the only ones hyped up about this. Weather permitting, millions of people in Mexico 15 U.S. states and eastern Canada will have the chance to see the moon slip between the Earth and the sun, temporarily blocking the sun's light. NBC's Jay Gray continues our team coverage from Junction, Texas.
Well, the countdown is on. We're just a few hours away now from the total eclipse here in the Texas Hill Country in Junction, Texas. But there's some concern. As the sun came up here this morning, the clouds started to move in. And take a look right now. You can see spotty but thick, and they've been building, unfortunately. Now, we've looked at the forecast, and there's a good chance this could all break just about the same time the eclipse is scheduled to start here. 12:14 Central Time would be the beginning of the partial eclipse. Then at 1:32, you'd move into totality here for 3+ minutes of total darkness. An amazing time, and hopefully we'll get a clear view of it. This area, the Hill Country, has been preparing for this for the better part of the year, and they didn't wait until Eclipse Day to celebrate. Over the last couple of days here at the Texclipse Eclipse Festival, we've seen music, dancing, we've had games, we've had calf roping. A Lone Star welcome to the eclipse as it starts its U.S. journey here in Texas, moves all the way through Maine. 15 states, more than 31 million people in line to see totality. But again, there's a lot of concern over the forecast. We're going to keep watching things here. Hopefully, again, it breaks up by this afternoon and we get that good glimpse of history. That's the latest from here in Junction, Texas. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
All right, Jay Gray in Texas. The State Office of Emergency Management has some tips for you, reminding people to be prepared ahead of the eclipse, which is in just a couple hours now. Keep your eyes protected. Do not look at the sun without certified eclipse glasses. Regular sunglasses do not work. Also allow for plenty of extra travel time. Ben mentioned that the Adirondack Northway is bumper to bumper now for multiple exits. Route 28, not too bad as of yet, but may likely get there soon. So be prepared to be in heavy traffic for a while, and keep up with travel conditions on 511ny.org, as well as our traffic tracker here in the studio. Only park in designated areas and do not stop to view the eclipse while on roadways. Only call 911 if you have an emergency. Being stuck in traffic does not constitute an emergency. And they are reminding folks to avoid the backcountry because muddy conditions and icy trails in the backcountry and high peaks will be too dangerous to view the eclipse. If you're unable to make it outside, but you still want to catch this historic event, we've got you covered. Both NBC and CBS will have live coverage of the total solar eclipse beginning at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Both networks will have correspondents across the nation tracking the eclipse, including the largest watch parties in the nation, one of the largest watch parties, I should say, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And on WKTV.com, we have a full section dedicated to the total solar eclipse. We have the path of totality, locations of area watch parties, and safety information for you. We'll have more on the big eclipse coming up at the bottom of the hour. Other news for you now. Rome firefighters battled a 2-alarm fire.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon and welcome back, everyone. It is Eclipse Day, and so far the sun is shining right now. It's faded behind some high-level clouds, but you look up, it's still very bright, and you can definitely feel the sun out right now. It feels very warm. You can see here wearing a t-shirt, but let's look at the traffic. That's been the main story today, and as of now, the latest report coming in from Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis, who is on his way here. Route 12 heading closer to Boonville is at stop-and-go traffic right now. Zooming in, you can see the oranges and yellows right there indicating that stop-and-go traffic. But as Ben Kinney reported, that up in Route 28, traffic's looking pretty okay still right now. The majority of traffic is heading out eastward where the majority of those clear skies are going to take place. But again, we're tracking that satellite. It's still, the thicker clouds are way out in western New York at this point, but we're keeping a close eye on it because we're right on the edge. And looking out to the west, we're seeing those clouds move in. Again, they are slightly thicker, but zooming in, you can see that it's not going to block out the sun all too much. At most, faded sunshine. But you can see here the timing of this eclipse starts around 2:10. Totality takes place roughly at 3:25. And that'll last roughly around 3 or so minutes, at least at our location, a little longer up near the center line, and much less long as you head closer to Rome, around a few seconds. But after 4:25, the eclipse is over and done with, and the event is pretty much done. And just a quick information to give you guys a heads up. You must use solar eclipse glasses at any point viewing the sun. The only time you can take them off is when the sun is completely covered by the moon and you can see the corona, the ring around the sun. That's the best chance or the safest opportunity to take off your glasses. But if you can, use a welding helmet. If you don't have glasses, shade 14 only. You can use 13 or 12, but that's only for a few minutes at a time. Recommend using shade 14. But to give you guys an idea that the difference in totality versus not seeing totality, you can see here, 98% Utica, New York, the sun is partially blocked out, but totality in Old Forge, it's just a once in a lifetime event that you just have to see. So just come up here, for example, up here in Boonville. The weather is nice so far. The community's already getting together. There's plenty of food trucks, but again, temperatures still starting out in the 60s for the next few hours, cooling down into the 50s and 40s with increasing clouds. And your 7-day forecast, we've got warmer temperatures for tomorrow, highs approaching near 70. But following that, we got some April showers arriving, a slight cool down with temperatures falling into the low 60s to upper 50s, breezy conditions as well. So overall, we're still in this mild weather pattern. But let's enjoy the nice weather. Mother Nature gave us sunshine with faded sunshine. Let's take advantage of this for today. So again, if you have no plans going on, you have a half day, or if you're just planning on going out and viewing the eclipse, again, so far so good. Fingers crossed that the weather holds and we still see some of that sunshine. News Channel 2 at noon will continue right after this.
And welcome back to News Channel 2 at noon. Hard to believe we've been talking about it for months, and the day is finally here. The total eclipse of the sun happens just about 3 hours from now, a little bit less than actually. All this hype, but will Mother Nature let us see it? We're going to go straight to meteorologist Eric Gage live in Boonville with the answer. Eric.
Good afternoon, Steve. Yes, the festivities are going on. People are starting to show up. Again, traffic is picking up just outside of Boonville as well. And the sun is so far so good, shining. But I want to bring in a few guests who traveled all the way from the Westchester County. So I want to come on in here. This one is Jeffrey Steinberg. And you're from where?
Scarsdale in Westchester County.
So Scarsdale. And do you want to give us an idea of what you guys are doing today?
Well, we brought a large telescope, a DSLR digital camera, and an iPhone, and they're all protected with the right solar filters. We're going to take photographs of the eclipse in totality, as well as the transit of the moon across the sun.
And that's awesome. And in fact, if you want to take a view of the equipment down there, actually, it's pretty fancy. I walked over and I immediately saw that equipment. I'm like, I got to go and talk to these people. It looks like I have a lot of fancy equipment. And on top of that, too, we have another person that also came from that area, too, Anthony Pilla from White Plains. And again, welcome here to Boonville. And so far, I mean, the weather's cooperating. And with the equipment you have here, do you think that you're able to film the eclipse if the clouds are even just a little bit on the faded side, or the sun's a little bit on the faded side?
I'm optimistic.
Same, I'm optimistic too. And so far, I mean, the weather is nice too. It's what, 60-something degrees out probably by now. The sun makes it feel a lot warmer. And after you're done with the equipment you have back there, do you have any plans on how you're going to process the images you get from the sun?
Well, Jeffrey has a lot of experience with photography, and he is the real expert here.
Yeah. And actually, I want to come back in and talk to us how it takes place right now.
How what takes place?
How the whole process of stuff where you take the videos.
Yeah, I'm taking still images about every 5 seconds. So the moon's going to move, across the sun, and then it will be in totality. You see the corona, the white light around it. Then it will continue. So I'll have a lot of photos every 5 seconds. There's a device called, I hope I can pronounce it right, intervalometer, which fires the camera at regular intervals, and it just goes and goes and goes.
It saves you some work.
Yeah, and plus if you touch the camera, it shakes. So this thing just does it remotely with the computer. So
That's awesome. And again, both of these folks from Westchester County visiting up here in Boonville. And again, the weather's looking very nice. The folks are starting to come in. It's getting very busy. There's food, there's entertainment, there's music, there's drinks, and be sure to come up and enjoy all the festivities and join these two folks here to take some images and videos of the eclipse. So again, we're live here up in Boonville. We're going to keep talking a bit more about the weather, safety, about what to expect when you look at the sun. in that full forecast in just a few minutes. For now, I'll send it back over to you in the studio, Steve.
All right, Eric, thanks a lot. Again, you said your guests are from downstate coming up to see the eclipse. Good stuff. Hopefully a lot more of that to come in just the next couple hours. Well, let's continue our team coverage. We'll check in this half hour at Old Forge as our live team coverage continues, like I mentioned, with News Channel 2's Ben Kinney at the Hildebrandt Rec Center on North Street. Ben, how are the crowds looking so far?
Hey, good afternoon once again, Steve. This time I've got a couple of students from Utica University who are going to kind of give a demonstration of what's going to happen in just a few hours, Serica and Nate. So what are these little styrofoam balls representing?
So essentially this is going to be the moon and this is going to be the sun. This is just a little demonstration you can do with you and your family. Say that you could get a basketball or a golf ball and you can hold it up, close one eye and you back up. And right when you see when this ball covers that, that's what basically an eclipse is like. So I actually have, this is what the moon is. And if you look behind me, you see a 2-meter tall beach ball. That is the sun. And it would take about 2.5 football fields for this to cover that. And that's how far away it is, essentially.
So this is really a big event. For you guys to be in the path of totality, how exciting is it?
I would say that's pretty exciting. Like, we've all seen the pictures of the maps and the path that the sun's going through. It's a very small region that gets 99% totality. Yeah. So I would say it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
And especially being, students who are in physics class, learning about this, learning about how rare an event this is, especially, to be seen up here, it's got to be a life-changing experience, to say the least.
Yes, it's crazy to do all these equations. We're like, what are we doing it for? And then actually seeing it happen before our very eyes, it's very cool. It's very cool.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys very much. So a lot of stuff going on, not just outside, as we showed you before, but inside. If you take a look around, obviously, Utica University has a nice display set up. Here we have food. We have live music as well. This is all up here at the Hildebrandt Rec Center in Old Forge. For now, we're going to send it back down to Utica. Steve, back to you.
All right, Ben, so it's been a half hour since we checked in the first time. Is the crowd continuing to grow in that time frame?
Yeah, absolutely. A few more people, I'd say probably 50, 60, 70 more, actually right after we got off air with you at the top of the hour, started streaming in. And they're continuing now. I'm looking out in the parking lot. More cars are pulling in, as are more people pulling in as well. So a lot more traffic streaming in. Not sure traffic-wise how the roads are looking, but that's still to be seen.
All right, Ben, thanks for reporting from Old Forge. We'll see you again tonight at 5 and 6. Well, continuing our coverage, home of one of the most famous races in the world, the Indy 500, will be one of the best spots to watch the total solar eclipse. Up to 50,000 people expected to descend upon the historic raceway. Today, spectators will catch some racing demos as well, and then people will actually move onto the track to look up at this afternoon's star attraction. Mike Valerio is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with a preview.
It's where speed, science, and the celestial event of a generation all align.
I mean, race cars and an eclipse, like, does it get any better than that?
Nicole Rail is one of the lead scientists with NASA's Heliophysics division, and she'll be watching the eclipse here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. She tells us why getting a better view during an eclipse of energy coming from the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, is so important.
That energy sometimes can impact spacecraft that we have on orbit. Things like GPS and navigation, which I don't know if you're like me, I rely on my GPS to get around my neighborhood, otherwise I get lost. And if those systems go down because of activity going on in space, that's a big impact for us here on Earth.
At the Speedway Monday, we'll see scientists, spectators, and even Indy 500 winners like Alexander Rossi.
You have 50,000 people who are here for the same thing and are excited and interested in the same thing, and there's a build-up to the event.
Part of that build-up, a racing demonstration on the track. When that wraps.
But they're going to open the racetrack so you can watch it pretty much from anywhere, and we'll love it. I mean, not a lot of people get a chance to actually walk the track.
Purdue University's Dr. Barrett Caldwell, one of the event organizers, says this moment may inspire future scientists.
It is just a tremendously complete visceral experience.
At the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I'm Mike Valerio.
All right, now on WKTV.com, we have a full section dedicated to the solar eclipse. We have the path of totality, locations of watch parties, and safety information. And if you're unable to make it outside, but you still want to catch this historic event, we've got you covered there as well. Both NBC and CBS will have live coverage of the total solar eclipse beginning at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Both networks will have correspondents across the nation tracking the eclipse, including, as we just saw, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Well, still ahead, meteorologist Eric Gage joins us from Boonville, another spot in the path of totality, with your full Storm Tracker 2 forecast. Stay with us.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone. I am live here at the Boonville area at the Adirondack Central School. The crowds are starting to show up. People are arriving. The weather is looking so far so good. Sunshine peeking out. Temperatures feeling very pleasant, actually. You can see here I created my t-shirt. But I want to bring in someone who just arrived, a familiar face, Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis, with another familiar face, if you've seen her before, Sky. How you doing, Sky?
She really likes you.
Sky is awesome, and she's enjoying the nice festivities going on right now. And while we're still on the topic of people arriving, Bill, how was the drive-in?
It's starting to get busy. Route 12 was busy, but it was moving. We started to get stop-and-go traffic heading towards Boonville, so I think it's going to really start to get worse here over the next couple of hours here.
Yeah, and it's getting more and more busy. In fact, let's look at the traffic tracker right now and see how things are shaping up. And we're seeing a lot of green here in the Mohawk Valley, but zooming in to the Boonville area, you notice there's some oranges, there's some yellows. That indicates stop-and-go traffic here and there. So far, the traffic is a bit on the lighter side, heading up closer to Old Forge. Live look at the satellite. We are still looking at clouds pretty much on the thicker side out in western New York, a little bit on the thinner side here locally. And that's what we're praying for, is that we keep those clouds thin enough to see the totality taking place, and that's only in the span of just a few hours. Currently, the eclipse begins around 2:10. Maximum time of the eclipse is 3:25, give or take a few minutes, depending on, again, your exact location, and the eclipse begins to end around 4:25. And the path of it, for those of you wondering, again, it eclipses the center line of Watertown, heading up north of Tupper Lake, northwest of Rome, into parts of Boonville, Old Forge, Long Lake. Again, those are all the areas in the totality. If you are not in the totality, for example, Herkimer, Hamilton, Oneonta, Utica, for example, make that extra drive up here. It's going to be worth it if the clouds do cooperate. And the reason why we're stressing how important this is because take a look at the potential future solar eclipses. There will be none in central New York within the next century. We're talking about 2079, the next one, just in the state alone, and that's going to be eclipsing parts of New York City. So again, it's worth it if you have time off to go out and view it. But again, those temperatures this afternoon are still in the upper 50s, low 60s. Pretty pleasant out there with clouds increasing throughout the afternoon. And then heading into tonight, looking at temperatures falling into the 40s. Your 7-day forecast, warmer tomorrow, highs in the upper 60s, low 70s, with partly cloudy skies. Over a pretty pleasant day, over some rain showers, April showers will begin to move in Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And again, if you have time, if you want to travel up here to Boonville, join Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis and I. We'll be watching the entire totality up here live. And of course, Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis will be here at 5 and 6 on WKTV in case you can't make the travel up here. But again, if you can, enjoy it. We've got lots of people arriving back here, food trucks, festivities, music, you name it. It's looking absolutely fantastic. So for now, send it back over to you, Steve.
All right, Eric, Bill, and Sky, thank you very much. We'll check in with you again later this afternoon. Well, we're not live at 5 News Hour. We are live at the Adirondack Bank Center in Utica for the IHFF Women's World Championships, specifically the highly anticipated matchup between Team USA and Team Canada. Then News Channel 2 at 6, a wrap-up of today's total solar eclipse and all the local festivities surrounding it. Eric.
What? Yes, we are live here at Boonville again. It's looking to be sunny at this point, whereas fingers crossed on these mid-level clouds going to be blocking out the sun. But again, a reminder, even if you are in the not in the path totality, again, Bill and I looking at the sun right now, you must wear the solar glasses. The only time you can take these off is when the sun is completely blocked out by the moon. You'll see a ring around the sun, the corona, and you should not be able to see out of these glasses at all. If you do, then of course these glasses are defective. But again, join us here live as we take a look at the eclipse here with the great community of Boonville and other people from around the area and us outside of our local area, going out to as far as Westchester County at this point, probably some visitors from international up near Canada as well. But again, behind us, we're looking at plenty of crowds all over right outside of Adirondack Central School. And again, join us. We'll be watching it live, and then of course join Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis tonight at 5 and 6. For now, sending it back to you, Steve.
All right, Eric and Bill, thank you for that, and hopefully that those clouds won't be too dense so we can see at least part of the solar eclipse, the area of totality. We'll have reports coming up tonight from Ben and Eric and Bill. Ben is in Old Forge. Eric and Bill are in Boonville, as you just saw, and we'll have a reaction from around the area as well. A lot of watch parties going on, including several activities at area libraries. We'll have
News with Kristen Copeland and Jason Pallas.
After months of hype and worrying about the forecast, the moment has come and gone. The total solar eclipse.
For most, this was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We have live team coverage tonight from the North Country. But first, let's watch it. Let's watch some video. Cloud cover locally, but with our glasses, it was a sight to see. And when you looked through your glasses, you saw the sun's orange hue, but with solar filters on cameras, the sun appeared more white. Traffic was one of the biggest concerns of the day, with state police and other law enforcement agencies warning people to leave for their destination early and plan on staying late. This is what the traffic looked like on Route 12 in Trenton. About 1 o'clock, people heading north, heavy, but moving right along. And then everyone went home. News Channel 2's Ben Kinney live in Thundera with a check of the traffic and shows us how people celebrated 100% totality in nearby Old Forge.
Good evening, Kristen. Yeah, we're just about a few. Total.
Some difficulties there.
They said they warned there could be some issues up there.
They warned us. So you saw the traffic was moving quite steadily in Thundera. Old Forge was one of the destinations, I could say.
Sure.
A lot of people coming from out of state to experience the total solar eclipse. And Old Forge residents, they planned a lot of activities happening at the Hildebrandt Rec Center in Old Forge. There were food trucks, beer sampling, and perhaps the most interesting part of the day came courtesy of the physics department of Utica University. Professor Brandon Fleming brought out 3 different telescopes to try and view the eclipse, one that we found pretty interesting.
With this, we've got an image of the sun that's actually being cast onto this screen, which is actually just a shower curtain held in place with a rubber band. But because the Earth is rotating, you're going to see it's going to slowly move out of frame. So right now I'm just trying to calibrate this to keep it in the frame.
What are those little spots?
What you're looking at right there is a sunspot. It's a point of intense magnetic activity, and because of that, it ends up getting much cooler than the surrounding sun, and so it looks darker. So it's if the surface of the sun is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's probably about 5,000 or 5,500, and so that difference in temperature has it shown. You can see we're already losing the sun due to the rotation of the Earth.
So exciting. 324 was totality in Old Forge. A wave of darkness actually brought the temperature down 10, 15 degrees.
Regardless of the weather, people went outside and looked up with their special glasses, of course. Check out this time-lapse video. It's drone video as well. Big turnout on Star Hill overlooking in Remsen. You can watch how the light turns to dark so quickly with our time-lapse, but it was just so cool. Mostly local people catching a glimpse of that event there. But other spots brought people from downstate and out of state. Some from as far away as Alaska. Adirondack Central School District put on a show with games, food trucks, and of course music. We spoke with people from Westchester County who brought a telescope with a camera with a solar filter, and they missed the 2017 eclipse, but they weren't going to miss this one.
So we decided to find a path, and there's 1 million people in Buffalo right now. They get 14 million people a year, so imagine Buffalo, right? So we said, let's find a dark sky spot. This is sort of dark sky, meaning not a lot of people, not a lot of lights. So we looked on Google Earth, found Boonville, and here we are.
We also spoke with some ladies from Connecticut who made the trip of it, stopping at Howe Caverns and Fort Stanwix along the way to Boonville. Boonville, by the way, is where we find Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis tonight. Bill.
Yeah, we had a good view of this. We didn't see everything during totality because of cloud cover, but what was neat was we saw the moon's shadow on the cloud, so we had a very interesting perspective. So we're still alive here. Of course, folks have cleared out. We had a lot of people that joined us here about an hour and a half earlier. But again, they're all on the roads right now trying to get home, and we're just kind of sitting tight here waiting for traffic to clear out. Let's talk about the weather. So again, with clouds coming in, we're expecting cloudy skies here as we head into tonight. This is a look at the radar this evening. Again, we're tracking a few sprinkles to the west. We might see a few of those late this evening into early tonight, but those are going to clear out. Temperature-wise, we made it to 60 degrees. That actually turned out to be a pretty nice day aside from the cloud cover. It stays cloudy tonight. A few sprinkles hang around. It's going to be warm Tuesday. Temperatures will make a run towards 70, but then the weather turns cloudy and unsettled as we head into the week with rain chances as we move forward. So this evening, again, can't rule out a brief sprinkle, mostly cloudy skies. Again, tracking a very unsettled weather pattern here with wind returning, especially later this week. Got a look at the forecast coming up. Back over to you.
All right, Bill, live in Boonville. Thank you.
Millions of Americans found themselves in total darkness as the eclipse moved across 15 states, including right here in New York.
Jay Gray continues our coverage from Texas.
Today, millions of Americans looking up.
This is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Through glasses and telescopes, everyone eager for a view of total darkness during the eclipse. The moon passing between the sun and earth, visible from 15 U.S. states.
Big moment for us, definitely.
And to make the moment even more memorable, a couple in Texas exchanging vows during totality. For scientists like Dr. Eric Christian of NASA,
it gives us an opportunity to share the exciting science of the sun.
He's a part of the Parker Solar Probe team, which is moving into the sun's atmosphere, providing remarkable observations and data about the sun and its impact on Earth.
The Earth lives in the atmosphere of the sun. That's the atmosphere that space weather happens, as opposed to terrestrial weather. So understanding that and how it gets accelerated up to 1 million miles an hour is very important.
Today, a chance to look, learn, and witness a total solar eclipse. Jay Gray, NBC News, Junction, Texas.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We are live here in Boonville, where we were just captivated by an amazing total solar eclipse. While we did have some clouds during totality, we had a lot of breaks, and it was a really neat sky as we can actually see the moon shadow coming across the horizon, being darkened by the clouds around. And just from our early reports, we did have a lot of folks that were able to see the corona, the light around the sun during totality in parts of our area, especially areas like Ava, out towards Canastota. So it was not completely cloudy, but the clouds definitely impacted some viewing, especially in parts of our area. As we go forward from those clouds, we do see a few light rain showers as we look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Some sprinkles are taking place to the west, and we may see a few of those as we head into this evening. This is all part of a warm front, and that's going to arrive tomorrow. We're going to see a significant rise in temperature. It's going to get a lot warmer here heading into tomorrow afternoon. Our current temperature is 60 degrees. Again, we have relatively light winds. We did see a drop in temperature during the solar eclipse. A lot of our area saw about a 3 to 5 degree drop in temperature, and we're near 60 degrees now. Westmoreland 60 degrees, Little Falls 63, Richfield Springs 57. It's warm tomorrow. That's going to be the warmest day of the week. But then as the weather turns unsettled, we get into an overcast pattern with rain showers from Wednesday, likely through Saturday. You can see the temperatures will gradually cool off too. Highs close to 60 on Wednesday, and then it will cool off, in fact, likely into the 40s as we look ahead to Saturday. Again, as we look at the bigger picture here, you can see actually some of the dimming in the visible satellite is when the moon shadow came across the Earth. And again, that was impacting the satellite image here. As we look ahead, again, we're looking at overcast skies as we head into this evening and tonight. Overnight lows drop down into the mid-40s, and then tomorrow we're expecting to see some sunshine. Temperatures will warm up, partly to mostly sunny skies with highs close to 70 degrees, so it looks to be a warm day. Mostly cloudy skies tonight, overnight lows in the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow we're looking at partly sunny skies and mild with a high temperature of 70. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The weather turns unsettled. We're expecting rain to return on Wednesday. The wind starts picking up throughout the week too. Thursday, Friday, cooler days, temperatures in the 50s, chilly on Saturday, and then temperatures start to rebound here with a return to sunshine looking ahead to Sunday and Monday. And again, looking at the solar eclipse again, a lot of places able to see it. Some of us still dealing with the cloud cover, but overall, for an April day, I would consider this a win. Back over to you.
An early April day. Bill, thank you.
Well, a Southwest Airlines flight was in the air only minutes yesterday.
Just a few miles away at the Kirkland Town Library, there was another watch party, this one with a lot of games, outdoor games. There were also telescopes that visitors could use, in addition to special binoculars. Kids had a chance to enjoy some solar-themed music and crafts as well.
I love the fact that we were everywhere today.
We were everywhere today.
Let's get you back live now with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. He's up at Adirondack High School.
Yeah, up in Boonville, where we had
Ah, geez, Sky was there and everything.
I know, everyone
Sky
wants to see
was
Sky.
there. So we're gonna work out those technical difficulties, and Bill's full forecast is coming up in just a couple of minutes, so stay with us on that one. But Boonville had a watch party as well.
Oh, yeah.
Adirondack High School, right out in the parking lot. People, it was not just local people. People were coming from as far away as Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
To take in the eclipse in Boonville, so that was a really exciting time.
And you know what? It was a perfect area. They had a lot of folks were up there, but it was a great time, and they brought food trucks and games. And one great shot that we had, and I don't know if we'll get it on the air. This little girl just sitting, drawing sidewalk chalk, just enjoying the day.
Just enjoying the day.
$10 million will expand scientific research programs at 14 SUNY schools, including right here at SUNY Poly.
According to the governor's office, the Marcy campus will use
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. I am live here in Boonville, where we were treated to an amazing total solar eclipse During the totality, we had just a 360-degree view of sunset. In fact, it was so dark that the street lights came on. It was a really amazing experience. Even though we were still contending with cloud cover during the eclipse, we were able to see part of it. Let's take a look at what's going on out there this evening. We've got a warm front moving in, and that's what's been causing clouds. And there's even a few sprinkles that are showing up to the west. So the clouds will continue to get thicker as we head into tonight. And we could see a few sprinkles here as we head into late this evening. As far as temperatures go, right now it's 60 degrees, and we did see a drop in temperature as the moon's shadow came across the Earth. Temperatures cooled off about 3 to 5 degrees during the total eclipse in our local area. Local temperatures, Westmoreland 60 degrees, Little Falls 63, Richfield Springs 57, Cooperstown 61. We're mild tomorrow, looking at a high temperature of 70, but it's all downhill. The next weather system moves in Wednesday. It brings widespread rain, and we're going to get into a really cloudy weather pattern again as we head into the end of the week with windy conditions kicking in as well. Temperatures as chilly as 49 degrees as we look ahead to Saturday. Looking at the radar and satellite image again, you can see the dimming that took place as the moon's shadow approached and came across the surface of the Earth. Our Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, again, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies tonight. Overnight lows drop down into the upper 30s to low 40s. Tomorrow, clouds give way to sunshine. Actually, it looks like a really nice day and warm, calling for high temperatures in the upper 60s to near 70. Before the weather changes, we're expecting to see some rain here as we head into Wednesday. Generally cloudy skies tonight. Again, a few sprinkles around this evening. Overnight lows drop down into the low 40s. Tomorrow, looking at partly sunny skies, and again, it's mild, a light breeze, and again, just a warm day with a high temperature of 70. So again, definitely the pick of the week weather-wise. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Cloud showers return on Wednesday, and again, it's a very slow-moving weather system that's going to impact Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday's weather, bringing us steady rain, windy conditions as well. Temperatures drop into the upper 40s on Saturday. Expecting the weather to change on Sunday, return to some sunshine, 61 with a few light rain chances looking ahead to Monday. So again, how to navigate some tricky weather here during the solar eclipse. It worked out for some of us, and again, we're looking forward to a warm Tuesday and a very spring-like day across central New York. We'll be right back.
Central New York.
Not live here in Boonville. We were treated to an incredible sight earlier this afternoon. We're tracking some warmer weather as we head into the week.
Now, the news with Kristen Copeland and Jason Palace.
A year of hype for 3 minutes of day darkness. The total solar eclipse of 2024 is now a couple of hours behind us.
And hundreds made the pilgrimage, thousands actually, to the Path of Totality in Old Forge to see the phenomenon firsthand. News Channel 2's Ben Kenny live to see how things went there today. Ben, good evening.
Hey, Jason, Kristen, good evening. Yeah, we're up here along Route 28 in Woodgate. Just take a look behind me. So down near the bend, that's Woodgate Firehouse. That's about a mile away. Traffic right now on Route 28 backed all the way down to there, almost bumper to bumper, very slow moving. I've actually been playing a little fun game while I've been waiting here. Find the furthest license plate, and so far it's been Illinois. But either way, the town of Webb has been planning this event for many, many months. That planning paid off massively. Darkness set in at the Hildebrand Recreation Center. Just after 3:24, the Recreation Center served as the center of action for the eclipse in Old Forge. Food trucks, music, even demonstrations and telescopes. Anticipation was high that the clouds would hold off in time for totality. As we came closer and closer to the point of totality, it was clear that that was not going to happen. At times, it was actually impossible to see the sun, even with the eclipse glasses. One eclipse watcher I spoke to actually came all the way from Connecticut. He said, while he is disappointed, he's at least grateful for the experience of witnessing totality.
I'm a little disappointed because it got cloudy on the total eclipse, but it is what it is. Able to enjoy like the view here in Old Forge, able to enjoy like the party. They have live events happening, so it pays off.
Demonstrations by the Utica University Physics Department team. Now, again, as expected, traffic pretty backed up on Route 28 as Kirk and I were making our way down from Thundera and Old Forge. We made it just about to Otter Lake before we hit this really heavy traffic, and it's been constant cars all the way back for at least the last half hour since we've been down here in Woodgate. Soon we're going to be joining this group of cars in this heavy traffic, so for now we're going to send it back up to Smith Hill. Reporting live in Woodgate, Ben Kinney, News Channel 2. Jason, Kristen.
Ben, thank you.
Well, visitors from all over flocked to towns in the path of totality from as far as Alaska. Adirondack Central School was one location where there was an extravaganza set up. They had music, food trucks, games, and of course a watch party. Some visitors told us they not only traveled to watch the eclipse, but they stopped to check out some other notable parts of central New York along the way. And of course there were watchers that brought a little extra help.
This is a telescope. It's called a refracting telescope. So you look through it. There's a solar filter right here to protect your eyes. And this is just for visual, for viewing. And there's a DSLR, digital camera right there with a solar filter on the front to protect the camera and my eyes. And that will take video and photographs. And this is just for people to look through.
I love how he explained everything. A great time up there. Eric Gage, Bill Curtis, both hanging out in that location today. For sure.
Yeah, we're going to check in with Bill right now. A couple of clouds in the sky, but still a fun time.
And warm out there. We were running in and out of the building to check it out. Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis joining us now from Boonville with a first look at your forecast tonight. Bill.
Yeah, we had a great view of totality. We were one of the unlucky spots where the clouds were around during totality, but we saw the eclipse before and after. But what made it more interesting is that we could, because of the cloud cover, and it wasn't completely overcast, we saw the moon's shadow in the distance as it was approaching. So that was really neat. And we had the 360-degree sunset effect. In fact, during totality, all the streetlights came on. So we had a lot of really interesting things to see, even though we didn't get to see the corona here in Boonville. A lot of people did enjoy it. Let's talk about the weather. From all of these clouds comes a warm front, and we have some rain showers that may move in this evening. Current temperature is 60 degrees. That warm front is going to bring a very lovely Tuesday to central New York, expecting temperatures to be near 70. But it doesn't last. We're back into a very cloudy, dreary weather pattern that we're so used to seeing this time of the year. As we head into the week, beginning on Wednesday, likely lasting through Saturday. A couple of sprinkles are possible this evening. Otherwise, it's relatively mild. Temperatures will drop into the 50s and 40s here. Again, tracking a warm Tuesday and some wet weather to follow. We'll look at the forecast is coming up. Jason and Kristen, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Well, the Mohawk Valley Water Authority has issued a water conservation.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We are live here in Boonville. Like we mentioned, we had cloud cover here during totality, but those breaks before and after allowed some places in our viewing area to see the corona during totality. We had some reports from Camden, also out towards Sylvan Beach, that there were some breaks in the overcast. So we're happy that it worked out for some folks. And that's just how it is sometimes when you're dealing with mostly cloudy skies. Some people luck out, some people don't. And in fact, as we're looking at the radar this evening, we're starting to notice a few rain showers starting to build in. That's from the same weather system that we've been dealing with today, starting out as high clouds. Those clouds will continue to thicken up as we head into this evening. This weather system is expected to bring a warm day to central New York on Tuesday with temperatures close to 70. Live look outside, our temperature is 60 degrees. Again, we saw that drop in temperature as the moon's shadow crossed our area earlier this afternoon, about a 3 to 5 degree drop in temperature briefly during totality. Temperatures this evening, Little Falls 62 degrees, Cooperstown 61, Richfield Springs 57. It's warm tomorrow. Temperatures will be near 70, but look at the temperature trend. we've got unsettled weather returning, cloudy skies, rain for a good portion of the week, along with windy conditions here, and temperatures are going to continue to cool off. In fact, we'll be in the upper 40s again as we look ahead to Saturday. Again, this warm front moving through, you can see the satellite image briefly getting dim. Again, that's because of the total eclipse today. Heading into tonight, we're looking at, again, mostly cloudy skies. Overnight lows drop down into the 40s. Looking at maybe a few sprinkles here late this evening and into early tonight. On Tuesday, that warm air surges in, and we're expecting to see some sunshine. Should be a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Partly sunny skies. Temperatures will be near 70 degrees, a very spring-like day. The weather changes tomorrow night. We're expecting clouds to arrive and rain showers as we head into Wednesday. In fact, the weather is trending towards more of a washout here as we head into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Cloudy skies tonight. Overnight lows drop down into the low 40s. Tomorrow, a beautiful day. Sunny, partly sunny skies, and again warm with high temperatures near 70. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Again, looking ahead, the weather turns unsettled, clouds, showers. The wind picks up too, especially towards the end of the week as some cooler weather arrives. Highs only in the upper 40s on Saturday before the weather breaks. We're expecting sunshine to return Sunday, and then a few light rain showers here on Monday, with high temperatures in the upper 50s. So again, we knew it was going to be challenging this time of the year to see a solar eclipse. We're happy that at least parts of our area did. It wasn't a complete, what we call bust, but man, could it have been yesterday? We wish it was, but that's just how it is. Back over to you.
Just how it is. Can't control it. Bill Cardis live in Boonville tonight. Thank you.
Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6. USA versus Canada. We are live ahead of puck drop.
And next, books and eclipse safety shades. We'll see how some local libraries marked the occasion and helped viewers stay safe. You're watching News Channel 2 at 6. We are proud to serve Remsen and all of Central New York.
Eclipse coverage continuing right now with a tour of events at some small local libraries who are hosting today.
Small libraries, big events. Rome had a spot set up for stargazers at Fort Stanwix today. Look at all of the people. In addition to watching the eclipse, there were games provided by Jervis Public Library and connected community schools. And just a few minutes away in Clinton, the Kirkland Town Library had a watch party set up. There were telescopes to view the eclipse. In addition to these special binoculars, solar-themed songs were filling the air as viewers waited for the event.
Another library in Oneida County hosting a party was in Waterville. Although the library's observatory wasn't open, there were activities and free glasses there for everyone. There was also a live broadcast of the eclipse on the inside of the library.
Western New York was also in the path of totality. That's where Governor Hochul viewed the event. She talked about logistics, especially in the path of totality, and millions of visitors entering the state. More importantly, it captured the attention of people across the nation and hopefully piqued the curiosity of the younger generation.
NASA is here as well. I just spoke to some astronauts and people from the Space Center, and they're using this as a chance to showcase the science behind this and to stimulate excitement in young people to come and perhaps explore careers that they might not have thought of before.
The governor spoke with Syracuse native and NASA astronaut Dr. Jeanette Epps last week about the eclipse and what it would be like to view the event from the International Space Station. And we were told that instead of watching it like we see from Earth, she watched it as a shadow going over our planet.
Oh, that's unique. Coming up, we head back down outside the outer. Oh, let's bring in the chief, Bill Cardis.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you said, oh, we could have clouds, we might not have clouds. But I tell you what, when you came back, just the excitement about this, because it wasn't exactly the way everybody planned it, but what did happen was phenomenal.
You know, and I think the clouds gave us such an interesting experience watching the clouds getting dark. Seeing the change in light. I mean, we were so focused on how cool everything was around us. It was a very amazing experience. And some of us did get lucky enough to see the corona. This was our view in Boonville. Again, it's just, look at the street lights are on in the middle of the afternoon.
3:30 in the afternoon, there you go.
It was an amazing view, that 360 experience of a sunrise, sunset, and again, definitely a once-in-a-lifetime event. And again, we're happy that the weather somewhat cooperated. It could have been a lot worse. In fact, our weather is going to turn cloudy and unsettled here over the next couple of days. Tomorrow's looking pretty nice, though. Cloudy skies this evening, a temperature of 50. It is pretty warm out there with the cloud cover. That's also part of a warm front. That's one of the things that brought clouds to our areas was this push of warm air. And that's going to bring temperatures to 70 tomorrow before we start to see unsettled weather return. Low pressure arrives later this week, and it's back to clouds and rain as we head into Wednesday and beyond. Mostly cloudy tonight, low temperature of 42. Again, we're tracking a return to rain after a very warm Tuesday. We'll look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. New tonight, Utica police are investigating.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening and welcome back. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica where the weather is looking pretty quiet. Some clouds have returned and we're looking at a temperature of 51 degrees. It's going to be a pretty mild night and a mild Tuesday. The winds will be light Tuesday afternoon, but the winds are coming back. Got an area of low pressure that approaches from the west. The winds begin to pick up on Wednesday and it's looking downright windy on Thursday and Friday. Looking at wind gusts generally from the west and southwest between about 20 to 30 miles an hour. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It's dry across the area. Temperature-wise, again, it is pretty mild out there. Some clearing is approaching from the west, so skies are expected to clear out as we head into late tonight, and that should set the stage for some pretty nice weather heading into tomorrow. Take a look at the radar and satellite image. In the middle of this, you can see the clouds getting dim in the northeast. That is the moon's shadow throwing off the measurements. This is visible satellite imagery, and as the moon moves across the Earth, the clouds become not very easily visible from space. Pretty neat to see that. Will be a long time before that happens again. Live look at our Storm Tracker 2 Skycast tonight. Cloudy skies, overnight lows drop down into the upper 30s. Tomorrow, sunshine gives way to some clouds. High temperatures climb into the upper 60s to near 70. So it looks to be a pretty nice day, nice and warm. Tomorrow night, increasing clouds. Rain showers return on Wednesday. It looks unsettled. Cloudy skies. Rain will be on and off throughout the afternoon. And it does look still pretty mild with highs in the low 60s. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies, a low temperature of 42. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly sunny skies and a warm day with a high temperature of 70. That's usually a temperature we experience in mid to late May. Okay, I goofed. There's not going to be an eclipse tomorrow. Oh, darn it. We don't get a rerun of this. We only had one shot. But it does look breezy. Man, I wish the eclipse was tomorrow or yesterday. But anyway, looking at breezy conditions, rain showers, temperatures in the 50s. A little chilly on Saturday, too, with highs in the upper 40s.
All right. What was your favorite part of today?
I would say the darkness.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
We're standing out here. Now, I know we weren't as cool as you are because we weren't up north, but we're standing outside the building. And all of a sudden, where lights came on. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's good. We're not going to see that again.
That's right.
Yeah.
And thanks, Bill. Well, coming up next, last time now for a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis. You had some of the best views up in Boonville, and I know some folks were a little bit sad because it wasn't a bright, perfect sunny day. But because of that, you got to see some things that were different.
I'll tell you what, we were a little disappointed as totality was approaching, as the cloud was just sitting there. We could see the clearing right behind it, but it wasn't going to happen in time. And some people were a little disappointed. Some people were even getting up and ready to leave. But then the darkness came, and it was amazing. Because of the clouds, we could see things disappearing. We could see the clouds getting really dark. A lot of things were happening. And we had all kinds of oohs and ahs, and that was amazing. So even though we didn't see some of the things that other people saw with the corona, it was an absolutely amazing experience. This is a 360-degree sunset was basically happening. It was so dark, all the lights came on, the street lights came on. It was wild. We had a really good time. And we had a large crowd with us in Boonville, and I hope you had a good experience if you saw that in totality. Or even if you didn't, I hope you had a chance to at least see part of it and enjoy it. A live look at the radar. Things look pretty quiet. The radar's in clear air mode tonight, and it's not sensing anything. It's dry out there. It's cloudy. A temperature is 47. Tonight, clouds are going to linger around. It's going to be a warm day tomorrow. Those clouds that came in today were part of a warm front. And again, we're looking at warm weather tomorrow. Temperatures cool off as we head throughout the week. The weather turns unsettled with rain ahead. Mostly cloudy skies tonight, low temperature 42. Again, we're tracking warm Tuesday, but then a return to rain. We'll look at the forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. New tonight, Utica police are investigating a crash.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look in downtown Utica. A temperature of 49 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. We've got a warm front that's nosing its way through, and that is going to set the stage for some warm weather tomorrow. Less wind. The breeze picks up beginning Wednesday, and it looks like a windy weather pattern as we head into the end of the week. Yeah, we're getting back to that with the risk for rain beginning Wednesday and continuing throughout the week. This live look at the Yorkville Battery, Stern Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Things look pretty quiet. Again, those clouds just kind of impeding our view of the eclipse today. They're starting to thin out. We're looking at clearing skies to the west, and the weather is going to improve as we head into tomorrow. So look at the radar and satellite image. Again, looking at some pretty quiet weather here across the Northeast. If we go backwards in time, this is a 12-hour loop, and if you're looking at the satellite image, the clouds, they disappear for a brief period of time. That's the moon's shadow influencing the satellite imagery. As the moon's shadow goes over it, it causes it to become dark, and then it brightens up again. Again, pretty neat to see, and something we won't see for quite a while. As we look at our Stern Tracker 2 Skycast, warm air slowly working into the upstairs part of the atmosphere. Temperatures will cool off into the upper 30s to low 40s tonight. Mostly clear skies tomorrow, looking at plenty of sunshine. High temperatures climb to near 70. That would mark the warmest day so far this year. And we're looking at pretty nice weather here as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Things change tomorrow night. The next area of low pressure begins to advance in from the west. Cloudy skies, scattered rain showers. Temperatures will be a little bit warmer tomorrow night into the upper 40s. And then clouds and showers here for Wednesday. The breeze kicks up, high temperatures in the low 60s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 42. Tomorrow, we're looking at partly sunny skies, warm, pleasant, and again, the warmest day so far this year, a high temperature of 70. Stern Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The weather turns unsettled. Clouds, showers linger around as we head into the week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Temperatures will cool off as we head into the weekend. A high of only 49 on Saturday. Sunday, 61. Rain showers return on Monday. So yeah, it wasn't the best weather for the eclipse, but I mean, all things considered, we're getting into this week. It could be a lot worse. We had clouds, showers. Man, I wish it was yesterday.
I know, or tomorrow even.
Yeah.
Well, it was earlier.
That's true.
All right, thank you, Bill. Coming up next,